Here we go, episode 151 of The Hardline. Michael Merlo, John Michael Masiri here with you. We're going to break down all of what was week 11 in the NFL. That's a good guess right there. Watch the whole thing. Don't know what week it is. It was an exciting week, and we knew it was going to be a great one in the AFC with those games that we had in each window, the 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and then the Sunday nighter. JM.
Yeah, Jets, Colts.
Good job, NFL. Good job.
Great call.
JM, before we get into all that, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm so focused on basketball right now. St. John's and the Knicks are all that exist in my mind as of right now, and things are good.
Yeah, that should be a good thing. Definitely not worrying about your football team whatsoever.
No.
That is not good for mental health.
The jokes being aside, it was a great week of football.
It was.
It was a very exciting week.
The Giants didn't play.
That's great.
That's always a good thing.
Feel bad for 8. We'll talk about that later.
We are going to talk about Daniel Jones being benched for Tommy Devito. Tommy Cutlets is back. Everybody, he's back. Very excited for that. Before we do get started in the AFC, though, because that's where we will start, make sure we really appreciate it, too. If you're liking and subscribing, you're watching on YouTube, like, subscribe. If you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please like, rate us, share, whatever you got to do. Tell us we're doing a good job. Tell us we're doing a bad job. We always love the feedback. We appreciate all that listen.
And to our potential Amish listeners, they could send, messenger pigeons to
is that
friends
possible?
And family. There's probably an Amish kid out there who's sneaking his little iPod and listening to the Hardline.
You think so?
I think so.
Okay.
I'd like to believe. So shout out to you.
I
Amish boy.
don't believe that, but if they were listening,
I'm sure the Amish would love the Hardline.
I'm sure they would, but if they were listening, send it.
Yeah.
You got to give them your address, though, not mine.
Okay.
All right.
You don't want a messenger pigeon?
No.
Okay.
No. You ever do pen pals? You ever have a pen pal?
I don't think I ever did. I think people who do that, is that even a thing anymore? Is that just prisoners
do
do
that? It was like a school thing. It was like you had pen pal.
I never got one back, though.
I don't even think I ever did one. I feel like this town's too bougie for a pen pal.
Probably,
I feel like we would be the ones in this town, not to sound like all self-righteous, but like somebody from another country would want to be pen pals with us.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
what the hell do you want to know
about?
Yeah, what do you want to know from us with our cushy lives?
Exactly. They want to know what our cushy lives are like.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
It's not interesting to I don't care about the person from a different. I don't know. I'm going to say something offensive.
Okay.
Let's
breaking. Michael Merlo hates people not from his hometown.
No, that's not it. It's just I never understood that. It's a different time. It was a different time.
Okay. Football.
Yeah, please. If I don't start talking, we might get in trouble. All right. The AFC. A lot went down yesterday. So first off, we have the Bills and the Chiefs. The Chiefs are no longer undefeated. We know that. We have the Ravens and the Steelers. Ravens played some crap football yesterday. And then we kind of got to talk about the Chargers if we're going to talk about the class of the AFC.
Yeah.
But we will start with the game of the week, maybe the game of the year on the schedule. No, it's not. There's going to be some better games. But the Chiefs and Bills was a good football game.
That might be.
You think that could have been a game of the year?
That could be game of the year. I mean, you got the Dynasty Chiefs and the other class of the AFC now with the Bills. Old rivalry, been going on for years now.
Jim Nantz, nice call. He goes, the play of the year in the NFL.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah, that was a nice call. On the Josh Allen run?
On the Josh Allen run for the touchdown.
That was a great
play of the year. Except, let's knock the broadcast a little bit. Pretty sure Tony Romo said twice, good offseason pickup Amari Cooper.
He did say that. I actually did pick up on that as well.
Twice.
And, yeah, that was not a great look. Mike, it was a great game. It really lived up to expectations. Nice 30-21 ball game. James Cook had a nice day. Josh Allen had a nice day. Defenses were playing well. Had that playoff atmosphere for sure.
It did feel like a playoff game. It did. And I feel like Allen, and we're going to talk about the MVP, kind of felt like Allen, in almost all of these wins, does what he does best, and he kind of puts the team on his back. He kind of did that again yesterday.
Well, that's what they said. We're talking about the broadcast. That's what Romo was talking about, saying that he has this ability to run, and he's so tough to bring down. He's so athletic, but the Bills don't exactly let him do that every single game. In these big spots against these great teams, that's when he turns into Superman. And that makes a lot of sense. He took a couple brutal hits yesterday, especially late in the game. He had one where he got hit in midair. He was diving and then got hit, and he's just such a big dude. You think he's hurt, and then he just gets right up. But he is practically Superman out there.
He does. He plays like it.
Yeah.
He must be a great teammate.
Yeah.
Playing for a guy like that just puts his body on the line each time. I mean, he ran the ball 12 times yesterday for 55 yards, on top of throwing for 262 yards. He was good through the air yesterday. Threw the bad pick. That was one of those picks where you go back in time and you think about all the bad Josh Allen picks, and you're like, what are we doing?
Right.
That was awful. I was screaming at the TV, "What are you doing, Josh?" A little louder, though, and there might have been an F word.
Right. Well, is that because money was involved?
You know what's funny? There was a decent amount of money on the Bills' money line, but I root for them, especially when the Giants are dead. Yeah. I just find myself rooting for them.
Right. Mike, can we stop beating around the bush and get to the real meat and potatoes about this football game?
You want to bash
Patrick Mahomes' ass?
No, he's not.
Is that now a thing?
No. Come on.
Are we sitting here? Is Patrick Mahomes entering the fall off? Obviously,
is that legit?
No, it's not. I'm rage baiting, but
okay.
We do need to talk about how Lamar Jackson is playing. I mean, he had the worst game of the season on Sunday, but Lamar Jackson's playing his best football. Joe Burrow is playing his best football. Josh Allen is playing his best football. Patrick Mahomes is not. That is a problem.
Yes, it is. And I don't want to make excuses for the guy, okay? Because he's, I've said it. He's the greatest talent I've ever seen at the position. But he doesn't have much to throw to right now. The receiver room, and we said this last season, and they figured it out towards the end. Even though his, overall season wasn't great in 23, he figured it out in the playoffs when it mattered. And I feel like that will happen again. I'll just have that blind trust.
Yeah.
But I think the receiver room's a problem because you're going to get the running back, but you're not getting Rice back. You're not getting a wide receiver number 1 back. And that's going to be the same room. And if, by the way, can Worthy learn how to catch a ball in bounds?
I don't know. That
and
that
know the
deep
sideline?
shot where he only gets 1 foot
He's
in
naked.
Was terrible. Wow, pause.
He was.
No, he was. Yeah,
hero.
sure. He was very open.
I like using that term now. I feel like when they're open and you say naked, it really emphasizes it.
What we need to also say when we say that Patrick Mahomes doesn't have the greatest weapons, does Josh Allen not have great weapons until he gets Amari Cooper? But which still, it's not like he has great weapons at his display. I mean, is Khalil Shakir a name if he's not Josh Allen's wide receiver?
He's a good player.
He's a good player with Josh Allen. I mean, he's not a guy that I think would make his own career somewhere else.
Would you take a healthy, right now, as currently constructed, right, the Chiefs receiver room, or a healthy wide receiver room for the Bills? Who would you take?
Wide receivers only?
Oh, and tight ends. Sorry.
And tight ends?
And tight ends.
I would take...
Probably take a Buffalo.
I'd take the Bills, but not by a large margin.
It's really close.
I think Cooper and Kelsey are pretty much a wash. Because I think that Kelsey, at the height of his game, was better than Cooper was, but Kelsey's, I think, on a little bit more of a decline. A little bit more of a decline than Cooper is. Cooper's still very good. He's just still, I think, getting acclimated with the team. He's been banged up and everything like that. But I'd put them pretty much neck and neck. And then after that, I think the Bills have better depth, but it's not like a landslide. And both rooms are very mediocre, honestly.
Are we confident that Travis Kelce is going to go on, again, like one of those runs he did last postseason and late in the year where he looks like Travis Kelce again? Or is the age going to prevent him from doing that? We saw that we saw it with Gronk. This was Gronk at the end.
I would say... To put that question into 2 different parts, I would say yes and no. So I'd say yes that he's going to go on that run, but the opposite of why I'm saying no is I don't think it'll be as effective, or he'll be as effective as he's been. I think he'll get his targets and he'll get his catches, but I don't know if he'll have as much of an effect on the game as he usually does earlier in his career.
Rashi was playing during the postseason run last year, right?
Yes.
His loss is not emphasized enough.
No.
It's not.
It's not.
Because he was turning into becoming, in front of our eyes, that star number 1 wide receiver this year. And we saw how impactful he was last season.
Mm-hmm.
Where did they get him from?
They drafted him.
Yeah, where?
I don't know. It was like SMU or something like
I thought
that.
you had
That's a complete guess.
I thought you had it on the dome. I didn't want to put you on the spot. I just thought you knew it.
If it's SMU, I'm going to throw a party.
College.
It's SMU. That is.
Yeah, it's SMU. How did you see that before I even looked at it?
Because that's just ball knowledge supreme right there. That's what that is. The weapons, though, going back to that conversation, are they not terrible for Mahomes? Yeah. Are they not great for Mahomes? Yeah. But what have we said over the past couple of seasons? Oh, that's all the talk was last year. The weapons. It's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. And then he just seemed to rise above it. Is that going to happen again this year because of how great that defense is and how great Mahomes is and the coaching and everything like that? I don't know. Can you do it 2 years in a row?
But the problem is, last season, the defense was great, and that's what, and I'll put it in quotes, carried them. But they did start to look like themselves again offensively towards the end. This season, you don't have that emerging wide receiver. You just don't have that guy. I don't trust that Worthy's going to become that guy.
And I also think Mahomes was playing a little bit of a little better last year at this point than he is right now.
We'd have to go.
I mean, I don't recall him having 15 touchdowns and 11 interceptions at any point.
He finished it at 27 and 14.
Yeah,
last year.
But I also feel like the rest of the AFC this year is a little stronger than it was last year. I mean, who were you worried about last year? The Texans, nobody was actually worried about them going into the play. Nobody thought they were going to knock off the Chiefs.
No.
You were worried about Baltimore and Buffalo.
That was it. Now you have...
And Buffalo, but sorry to cut you off, Buffalo also hit that skid last year. We at one point we thought Buffalo might not make the playoffs. They were 6-5, and then they won that. They went on that 5-game win streak or 6-game win streak, whatever it was.
We were still like
6-6
going into the postseason. They were still a concern. I mean, they were favorites in the game.
Yeah,
at
but
home.
they look strong.
They had
right
a 1
now.
seed.
I mean, they look really strong.
No, they do, and I think they've also kind of knocked off the "we haven't beaten anybody" train.
Right,
beating the Chiefs. Now again, this might have been perfect spot. Chiefs getting lucky all these weeks, and just due for a loss. But I thought the Bills played really well yesterday. I thought the defense played really well.
It did play very well.
And the defense has played decently well.
And now you throw Pittsburgh in the mix.
They're interesting.
They're very interesting.
They're fascinating.
They're 8-2. I mean, let's throw their hat in the ring for the 1 seed.
You have to.
You totally have to.
The thing is, they play Lamar so well.
They do.
And they just know how to play him. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing they can do or say at this point, Baltimore. Can he do that? Can that defense do this against the other offenses in this league? Can they do it against the Bills? Can they do it against Kansas City?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. And Christmas Day on Netflix, hopefully we don't have the buffering going on. That's going to be a fascinating game.
Yeah.
Because with the way the Chiefs offense is currently playing right now, I wouldn't trust them to score more than 20 points against that Pittsburgh defense.
I would not either.
And then that's going to be a defensive battle because I also don't trust Russell Wilson to score on that defense.
Mm-hmm. It's fascinating that the Chiefs are 9-1. It really is. Like, credit to them. And credit to their defense, especially. The fact that this is a 9-1 football team.
Banged up on offense.
Yeah.
Banged up on offense. Mm-hmm. And not efficient on offense.
But I think even if they were healthy, they would still have these issues on offense. I mean, you tell me you get a healthy Pacheco and a healthy Rashee Rice. Yeah, that makes a difference for them. But I don't think that we're sitting here talking about them like the Kansas City Chiefs offenses that we used to talk about in the Tyreek Hill days. Not even close to that.
Not in those
I still
days.
think
I think it's better.
I still think this is a middle-of-the-pack offense with those guys.
I think it's better when you add it. No, I can't say that. Maybe the running game is not much of a difference, but I think Rice is that big of a loss.
Right now, they're 14th in points scored and 19th in yards on offense.
When did Rice go down?
I mean, they're in the bottom 60%, whatever. The bottom 60%, bottom 40% of the league.
Math.
Wow, that was tough. Sorry, what was your question?
When did Rice get hurt?
Rice got hurt in week 3, week 4? Week 4?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Again, like I'll say it for a fourth time. I think they're a different offense when you add the wide receiver number 1 to this.
But is he a wide receiver number one. On the depth chart, he is.
I think he was playing like one. I think
he was getting close. He was
into
emerging.
one.
Yes, he definitely was emerging.
And it's also a different question. You're like your wide receiver one on the Chiefs with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Like here's an example. Would Noah Gray and Justin Watson be useful on any other team?
No, absolutely not.
Noah Gray caught 2 touchdown passes.
Xavier Worthy on another team would not be getting the attention that he's getting in this offense right now. They just have no other choice.
Well, I don't think he'd be playing either.
No.
They're forcing it right now.
And the funny story about him was the Bills everybody said, why would you give the Chiefs Xavier Worthy when they traded them the pick?
I was screaming too.
And it made a bunch of sense. You're like, oh my God, here's this guy breaking the record at the combine for 40 time, and he's getting added to the Chiefs offense. Here we go. And he's not good. He's a rookie. You're not going to overreact. They don't have many receivers. And Hopkins had the one big game, and what has he done? Nothing.
Got to get him the ball.
Yeah.
Got to force feed him the ball. They'll be fine. I will go. I remember sitting in your basement recording last year, and you had said, I'm out. I'm worried. I'm done. And maybe it was for show. Maybe I just truly believed it. I was just like, I'm going to take the opposite side of that. I'll say, no, they'll be fine. They'll figure it out. And I ended up being right. Did I truly believe it at the time? Maybe not.
Right.
But I was.
I'm not going there this year. And the reason why I'm not going there, and it's not because I don't, whatever, I was wrong once, so I don't want to be wrong again. It's because I was proving something that defense is amazing, and you still have Patrick Mahomes at the end of the day and Andy Reid. So even if you want to talk about the receivers not being great, when the postseason comes around, you just know this team is going to be a tough out. They know how to play. They know how to stay in the game, play a painful game, not let you pull away. They're always in it, and then they find a way to win.
And now this Ravens game, and we'll switch over, unless you have anything more to say on the Chiefs.
No, that's it.
Like, again, and I'll try and pull up the stat on Twitter right now about how dominant the Steelers have been since Lamar has won his first MVP.
Yeah.
I think they're 8-1 against them or some
Wow.
crap like that. I don't know, and I can't trust that Tomlin's going to be able to do it against a team. Like, you're telling me if it's a first-round matchup in Buffalo that it's going to be a close game?
Could be.
As much as I love the Steelers, you know me. Since week 7, I'm a big Steelers guy here now. I don't know. I think it's a division thing here.
It totally could. It totally could. Obviously, if you see a team twice a year for every single season, you're gonna figure out how to play them more and more. I mean, the Steelers haven't played the Bills much. Obviously, they played them in the playoffs. That was last year, correct? In that snow game.
They got snowed out.
The Monday night. Yeah. Which actually ended up. Didn't they cover the spread?
They might have covered.
I think they might have covered last year, and that was supposed to be just a walk through the park for the Bills. And this is a completely different Steelers team than it was last year. They actually have an offense now, although they can't put the ball in the end zone. But I think they would give it a really, really good shot to the Bills. I actually think that would be a very good game, and I wouldn't take them lightly at all. I can't believe I'm saying this because year after year I make fun of the Steelers. We make fun of the Steelers, but me. About how just like mid they are and how fraudulent they are when they play great teams. This is a legit Steelers team now. Like, this is a team where if you are playing them in the playoffs, they're not just a wild card, maybe get to the divisional round. Like, they have serious Super Bowl aspirations.
It's a team you don't want to face in that first round.
100%.
All right, I'm trying to find it because I saw 3 different numbers on Twitter. So now I'm just on Pro Football Reference. And we're going to find out his numbers here.
This is the best Steelers team since the Big Ben days. Like, and not the end of the Big Ben days. The prime killer bees with Le'Veon and Antonio Brown Steelers.
2-5 versus Steelers in his career. 1,000 yards in those 7 games. 5 touchdowns, 8 picks. Passer rating of 66.7.
What is that, like road only or something? Because he's definitely played the Steelers more than 7 times.
No, it says only 7 games. He was banged up a lot.
There's no way that's true.
It says opponent. I was shocked too when I saw it on Twitter, and I come to hear it. It says 2-5.
Yeah, wait. He's played the Bengals 12 times and the Browns 12 times.
Yeah,
that's bizarre.
Maybe he's just sitting out these Steeler games. He's ducking the Steelers in his career.
Somebody fact check us on that or something. That's very hard to believe.
It's Pro Football Reference.
Yeah,
they're not going to lie to me.
He's been in the NFL for 7 years, but he's really only been a starter for 6. Yeah, 7.
He probably missed a couple of those games.
That's crazy.
How many games has he missed in his career?
He's also played Cincinnati twice this year, and he's only played the Steelers once.
Yeah. I don't think he's played Cleveland. Oh, no, he has played Cleveland once. They lost.
That's bizarre.
It's bizarro world.
I
I think, JM, I still, and I don't want to overreact to one loss. I still put them third. Like, if I'm going to rank the AFC teams, right now I would have Buffalo 1, Kansas City 2, Baltimore 3.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh 4.
Mm-hmm. That's perfect.
That's how I would have it.
And
I still trust that Baltimore is going to figure this thing out and go. They'll win a game in the postseason.
Yeah, and I've been saying for the entire season that I'm not willing to put the Bills in that same tier as the Chiefs, or even I had them third. I had them below Baltimore.
Yes.
I have them leapfrogging both after this week. I mean, after you see Baltimore lose that crucial game and who now have an uphill battle to try to win this division.
They're not. They're probably not going to win the
They're
division.
probably not going. They could get right back into it because they got the Steelers again. So you could, you're only 2 back in the loss column.
Pittsburgh plays at Cleveland this week.
All right, it's also week 12.
So we have to assume they're 9-2.
Yeah.
So now Baltimore doesn't have a bye yet.
No.
Baltimore is on the bye week 14.
Mm-hmm. You got the rest of their schedule?
They play at the Chargers this week versus the Phillies, the Eagles, then a bye week, then a tough one at the Meadowlands against the Giants, and then the Steelers again. All right, you want to do win-loss quick? All right, so
Sure.
let's say at Chargers.
Win. They're pissed off.
I'm
Win.
going to say they win this game. Mm-hmm. Home against Philly. That's a great football game.
I think they'll win. I think they're 7-4, and they're about the best 7-4 team you're going to see. I've got them winning 2 in a row here.
All right.
Bye week.
I'm going to give them a win, 9-4. Bye week, Giants.
Win.
10-4. Steelers at home. That's a tough one.
It's a toss-up. But, hey, for the sake of the game, we're trying to see if they can win the division. Win. You got to beat the Steelers if you want to win the division.
11-4.
Yep.
Now we're even.
Yep.
Pittsburgh. And I think they'll split the rest of the way. Texans, Browns. They'll lose one of those
Yeah, they'll
games.
lose one of those games.
So we have them at 12-5. That's very optimistic.
Yeah.
I could easily see this being. We'll give it 11-6, 12-5.
Yeah.
That's a very optimistic.
You can't go
12-5.
10-7. 10-7 would be nuts.
All right, let's look at the Steelers now. The Steelers play at Cleveland Thursday night.
That should be a win.
That's gonna be a win. But that could be a close
When
game.
you have Jameis Winston just throwing it on third down 50 yards down the field every time, though, you never know what could happen. He could hit a couple of those. Did you see that? Every time they cut to red zone with the Browns and Saints game, it was 3rd and 13, and Geno Smith throwing Jameis Winston throwing double coverage bombs to Elijah Moore.
At least they're exciting and fun
They are.
to watch, and they could score.
Yeah, I mean, that was actually a great touchdown that Elijah Moore caught in the corner of the end zone. I don't know if you saw that catch.
I did.
That was great.
They're watchable though. Like
They
they're
are.
they're a watchable bad team
They are, yeah.
instead of unwatchable like
Yeah.
they were with Deshaun.
Yeah.
Okay, so at Cleveland, we're gonna give them a win.
Sure.
9-2. You can play at Cincinnati.
They're going to lose that game.
I think they're gonna lose that game too.
Yeah.
9-3 at the Browns.
Home against the Browns. They play the Browns 3 out
Home
of
against
2
the
weeks.
Browns, sorry.
I mean,
Yes.
twice out of the 3 weeks.
Yep.
They'll win.
They're gonna win. I agree. 10-3 at Philadelphia.
L.
I think they're gonna win that game.
Okay.
I think they win that game. We gave them a loss to the.
That is a schedule, dude. I actually remember talking about this in the beginning of the year,
Yes.
how tough their schedule was at the end of the year.
But it looks
That
a little
was-
lighter.
It looks a little lighter because the Browns are terrible and the Bengals are not as good as we thought they were going to be. But the Bengals are still a very good team. Like
No. They're not a very good team.
in terms of a 4-7 team.
Offensively, they're very good.
Yeah, they
not
took
a good overall
They
team.
took Baltimore to overtime and lost. They took Baltimore to a 35-34 game. They took the Chargers to a 2-minute drill at the end of the game. Like they're playing great teams tough. They're just not having these one-score games go their way, which has to do with coaching and whatever else, and their execution late in games. But they're not an easy team.
They're not an easy team, but they're not like a very good football team.
I think they're a team that's going to kind of win some games here late and finish like 8-9 or something.
Well, I think they'll split here. I think Pittsburgh will split with them.
Okay.
They play them twice.
But you got Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs.
Bengals. That's tough.
You come out 2-2, you're through the roof with that.
All right, so let's say they go 2-2 through that.
They will win the division if they go 2-2 through those.
Yeah, because then we had them at 12-5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they will win that.
That's a tough.
Are they going to do? Can they go 0-4? You bet.
I do remember talking about this though at the beginning of the year. Ravens, Browns, Bengals, Browns, Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs, Bengals. I remember talking about this.
That's
because
a
of
gauntlet.
How light the beginning was.
Yep. And something you got to remember, a lot of these teams, they have their ups and downs throughout the season. It comes in little waves. And the Steelers right now are at the top of their wave, and they've been playing very good, and they could definitely just keep playing great till the end of the year.
But it feels like two different seasons.
Yes.
Because you have two different quarterbacks.
Right. You had Wilson, you had Fields. You have to expect that there's going to be some sort of adversary in this new Russell Wilson season. Might be coming up soon.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to lose a game.
Yeah. So we agree on the top 4 in the AFC, though, in order.
And the Chargers are not far behind.
Chargers are not going to. And the Broncos. By the way, this is rare out of me. Yeah. I got to give a shout out to this guy. You told me a week ago that they were going to blow out the Falcons.
Wow, I forgot about that. Yep.
You did tell me that.
I did.
And I was like, what? I was like, you're like, they're going to kill him.
I didn't bet it. You know that. I didn't bet it.
I completely
forgot. No, I completely forgot that I told you that.
Yep.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that.
I shouldn't have said anything.
Wow, my head's a little bit bigger now. All right, Jay, we're going to talk a little bit. We're going to talk a lot about the Bengals. So I don't want to get too in depth because I really want to talk about the whole team. We're going to get to that. We are going to switch this over to the NFC though, and more specifically in the NFC West, because this is a mess. This division is an absolute mess when you look at it. I'm going to pull it up right now. Everybody is separated by half a game, and everybody is mid. Everybody's mid. Who's gonna win this division?
I mean, if I'm a Cardinals fan and I'm hearing that, I'm like, really, dude? We're mid. They've been playing some great football. 6-4, first place right now. They've been marching on through their opponents.
Do you trust
Got a nice win on their schedule against 49ers.
Is that a nice win? The 49ers are in the basement of this division.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? And obviously, the Jets win doesn't count. I would feel confident if I was a Cardinals fan. Listen, it's extremely exciting right now because you could really see any team winning it. Because you got the Cardinals, who I think are the hottest team right now. You got the Rams, who have the experience, who have the quarterback who, I mean, was carving up the Patriots defense.
That throw in the back of the corner to the tight end was unbelievable.
He just played out of his mind on Sunday against New England. Seattle just seems to not want to go away and be like, hey, I know we look terrible, but watch this. Like, we're going to play really good right now. And Gino's going to play like a freaking gunslinging maniac. And then you have San Francisco, who just can't seem to figure it out right now.
I think San Francisco has a lot of problems.
They definitely do.
Because, first of all, the running back does not look good.
Mm-mm.
He looks slower than usual. I don't necessarily want to put this on the quarterback. We could talk about him in a second. I think is Ayuk that big of a loss? Why I think Ayuk's a loss? Because Debo is not a wide receiver one. Right. That's why Ayuk is such a big loss. Ayuk was very good last season. And people have said, Ayuk is not that big of a loss losing him. I think it is because now Debo is not playing in a role where he's best suited. You had your wide receiver one.
Right, that X. Debo's not an X.
Right, and he doesn't look good. He's not playing well.
Right. Debo can't run a route tree that Brandon Ayuk runs. And I mean, it's not a knock. Like, Brandon Ayuk also can't run through people like Debo Samuel does. They just both have different roles and different play styles. And when you try to put Debo Samuel in a Brandon Ayuk play style, you run into problems like this. Juwan Johnson just continues to be
my guy.
Sorry, Jennings. Thank you.
I can't let you disrespect my
yeah,
my
no
guy
problem.
Like
Shout out Juwan Johnson of the New Orleans Saints, though. Good guy.
Right.
Juwan Jennings just continues to be Brock Purdy's favorite target for whatever reason.
I love him.
He almost won Super Bowl MVP if they would have won the game last year. But, Mike, you're right. McCaffrey looks slow. The offense has problems. They don't have that sort of... Like, the 49ers look like the Lions do right now. Like, in the past, that's how the 49ers were used to looking. Okay? They were...
Expand on that.
They were run the ball, open up the play action, kind of do whatever you want, play really efficient football. Your quarterback doesn't need to do too much, stands in the pocket, throws the ball accurately, a lot of open receivers, a lot of talented skill position players. However, I don't want to disrespect the Lions. I think at the height of their games, I think the Lions offense is slightly better. Mm-hmm. They're both number one in the NFL caliber offenses, but the Lions is, I think, pretty historical at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just ridiculous what they did to the Jacksonville Jaguars on Sunday.
A little embarrassing.
Which Doug Peterson, congratulations for not being fired as of 7:30 p.m. on Monday. Because
how is he survived?
It'd be nice to have that job security. But yeah, that's what I mean by that point. But we're used to seeing that super efficient offense, and they don't have that offense.
Super Bowl hangover. I thought
it's. Yes. Super Bowl loss hangover, which you love that stat.
I love that.
You're all over that stat.
I've been all over that stat for 2 years.
Which is true, but let's dive a little deeper into why it's a Super Bowl hangover, because they just don't have the right team anymore. Like, the team is just on paper not as good as last year.
They're getting older.
Yep. Everybody gets a year older. You lose some guys to injury. You have some contract drama in the offseason. I mean, when do you think teams are going to start taking this a little bit more seriously with the contract drama? Because what were the 4 biggest stories this offseason with contracts? Or 4 teams. How about that?
Niners.
Ayuk and Trent Williams with the Niners. Jamar Chase with the Bengals. Hassan Reddick with the Jets. And CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott with the Cowboys.
Wow.
All 4 of those teams suck.
Currently not in the playoffs.
On different scales.
Currently not in
Let me rephrase. All 4 of those teams, not in the playoffs right now. Some of them are dumpster fires for different reasons. Some of them are just hanging on to their playoff hopes right now. But you get the point.
That's a great point. It affects the locker room in ways we can't really tell.
Right. And I'm sure, I'm kind of just, there might not be a direct correlation there. It could just be coincidence, but it definitely has something to do with it.
And how about one of these teams in this division? Because this is a team that, I had said a few weeks back, I was like, I think the Rams might win this division. And again, I don't want to take anything away from the Cardinals, and they were on the bye this week, but the Rams to me are the team I trust. Yeah. You have the quarterback I trust. You have the quarterback, the head coach that I trust. You have great weapons on the outside. They have a running game. They're getting healthier on the offensive line. I mean, this is a team that I think, listen, they might be a little fraudy. They looked terrible on Monday night against the Dolphins a couple weeks back. But man, when things are clicking for them like they were in New England after going down 7-0 or whatever it was, 7-0, they're really impossible to stop on offense.
They are. They're very tough to stop on offense.
And young defensive players that are stepping up and playing well.
Jared Verse has been really fun to watch. But like you said, I mean, they are getting healthier on the offensive line. And this is a unit where when they're fully healthy, they are one of the best offensive lines in football. And they are a very, very good offense. And we saw that last year when they sort of surprised everybody when we thought it was a down year for the Rams. And they came out and made the playoffs. And going into, Sunday Night Football, week 1 was Rams-Lions. Like, that was a really, really exciting game, and it ended up being a very good competitive game at the time. And then all of a sudden they get hit with the injury bug, and some things aren't going their way, and they're going down the tubes. But we got to remember what this football team is, and when they're healthy, they are a very, very tough team to play.
There also is not a better team in the league at drafting than they are.
No.
They're the best team at drafting guys.
They are definitely up there with the best in the league when it comes to that. And the big story for the Rams this offseason was losing Aaron Donald. And, I'm sure if they wanted to have him back right now, they would do it in a heartbeat. But they've been able to get by without him.
They drafted that kid Fisk from
who was my rookie of the year pick.
Florida State.
He's not living up to it, but it's all right.
He's playing pretty well.
He's playing good.
Verse is the favorite or one of the favorites from Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
And Kobe Turner from last season. Just unbelievable. They're great up front.
A bit of a quiet defensive player, rookie of the year race right now, though.
Well, Mitchell is shooting up.
Yeah,
the kid's been up from Philadelphia. The corner from Philadelphia is great.
Mm-hmm. But nobody really,
I think it's between those two.
No, like superstars emerging, which is fine. They're rookies, but
like,
we see that pretty often, like a Micah Parsons.
I feel like Mitchell. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
He's not that big name, but Mitchell deserves more.
But we also knew that coming into the draft, it was a very weak defensive. This was an offensive heavy class.
We went 15 picks without a
Dallas Turner at number 8 to the Falcons. That was the big mock, and then they took Penix, and you're like, oh,
when's a defensive player going to go?
Exactly.
That was the conversations we were having. I want to have this conversation. So you brought up the Cardinals before. You say I'm being disrespectful. You think they could win this division?
Yeah. You kidding me? Is that a hot take? They're in first place right now.
I feel like it is. I feel like I don't.
They might have the best quarterback in the division.
I feel like I don't trust this team.
All right.
I feel like I don't trust them. And Murray's having a great year. I'm trying to pull up their. Here we go.
What is it about that you don't trust? Just because it's the Cardinals and their history?
It's the Cardinals.
I totally understand. The Rams are more proven.
The defense was projected to be one of the worst in football this year.
Yeah.
They haven't gotten Harrison going either.
You can't take preseason projections into it, though.
I got to take it all out.
And also, let's not forget that a week ago we were sitting here talking about, all right, the Niners are getting going here because that's just the Niners we know, and we're gonna say that they're the threat in the NFC. They're still the biggest threat in the NFC to the Lions. We're gonna say that in a couple weeks, and they drop a game to the Seahawks, and we're back to, do the Niners just suck?
They have enough weapons.
Let's not read too far into the history of these teams. It's what have you done for me now and lately?
They have good weapons. I mean, they have a decent wide receiver room. McBride's a really nice up and coming tight end.
He's not up and coming, bro. He's here.
He's here. Okay,
I mean,
fine.
he's
here. 25. He's here. He's having a great year. 552 yards.
He's really like.
How does he not have a touchdown catch?
He might be. He's got that fumble recovery touch.
How does he not?
I don't know.
I remember
it's crazy.
seeing this like last week.
Yeah, it's nuts. But he's actually the tight end. The tight end groups around the NFL. It's very odd what's going on this year. I mean, you could make the argument that he's the best tight end in the NFL. I still think it's Kittle.
See Brock.
Brock looks great.
Take Brock over.
Brock
him
does
too.
look great. Shout out Taysom Hill, who's not actually a tight end, but he's listed as a tight end in fantasy.
40 points yesterday.
40 points.
That's good stuff.
Hell yeah.
It's a nice little cheat code.
Oh yeah.
They got weapons. Wilson's a nice wide receiver, 3 in this scenario here, with McBride being the number 2.
Yep.
They got to get Harrison going.
They do.
Connor's good. Connor's having a great year.
Connor's having a great year. No, but they really do have to get Marv going. I mean, it's been very inconsistent. They were using him in like a very like vertical stretch the field style in the beginning of the year, and then they switched him to more of a traditional X receiver, diverse route tree sort of a thing. And it seemed like he was doing better in that, and then he's been still very inconsistent. So if him and Kyler can click at some point fully, they've shown flashes. And I think it's more on Marv, obviously, as a rookie. I think he's just, acclimating to the NFL. We know how talented he is. But if he could really acclimate and get into the groove with Kyler, they could be scary.
It's also shocking that Budda Baker's still on this team. I feel like there's been so many rumors over the
he's
past
been wanting
few
out
years
forever, right?
He was going to get traded. All right, Jay, let's switch this over to the Bengals here, as they are just a complete and utter mess. We kind of touched on it a little bit before. We were talking about it outside before we walked in and record. This is a team that shouldn't be losing these games. This is a season in which Burrow is having one of the best of his career, and yet they're wasting it away. And to me, this is just a locker room culture issue, not only in the locker room, but overall in the organization, from ownership all the way down.
Yeah, it could be that. I mean, that could be the big story that everybody wants to talk about. But first, I want to talk just about how bad the defense is. I mean, every single year when me and you sit in front of this camera and we preview the NFL season, it seemed like every year we were saying, well, the Bengals, we know about the talent of the quarterback. We know about the running backs that they've had over the years. We know about the receivers. But what about this defense? And they sort of were underwhelming on paper year after year, but they seem to just get it done. Like, they seem like to be one of those units that was well coached, played well in really big games, and just seemed to get it done. But they're not doing that this year. I think it's finally catching up to them. They've lost some pieces. Obviously, they lost Jesse Bates a couple years ago. They've lost Devon Bell. They've lost some other guys over the years. I think it's finally starting to catch up to them that they just don't have the defense. I don't think it is. I mean, it caught up to them.
It is caught up to them.
Yeah.
They are
Yeah.
atrocious defensively. They have a good defensive coordinator who's been interviewed multiple, for the last 5 years now to be a head coach. So I don't even know if it's a coaching thing. It might be a lack of players. Trey Hendrickson's having an unbelievable season. He's one of the best pass rushers in the league. But yeah, this is probably a defense thing. But again, go back to when they were in the Super Bowl. Like, the defense was clutch. They made plays. They stepped up. It hasn't always been this. It was never a great defense.
Yeah.
It was just a defense that made plays when they had to, got off the field when they had to, and let Joe Burrow and this offense win. And they can't even do that this season.
Nope.
And you saw flashes of it in the Sunday night game. But again, that first half is embarrassing.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing.
It was also terrible last year, the defense. I'm looking 2 years ago, they were the 6th ranked defense in terms of points allowed, and they were the 16th ranked defense in terms of points. In terms of yards. In 2021, they were the 17th ranked defense in points, 18th defense ranked in yards. So they were middle of the pack. In 2022,
what are they right now?
They were in 2022 when they lost to Kansas City in the conference championship. That was their best defense that they had. Right now, they're 28th in points allowed, and they're 24th in yards allowed. So they've got the 6th ranked offense and the 9th in terms of points scored. But when you have a terrible defense like they do, this is what happens.
They just literally, even if they were 20th,
Yeah.
on this list of points allowed, maybe they're 5. What would be 5 and 6?
Mm-hmm.
What's their record right now?
They are 4 and 7.
They'd be 5 and 6.
Yep.
What a joke. And again, we talked about the issues in the offseason. I remember believing a report from Trey Wingo that it wasn't all there.
Right.
There's locker room issues. I think this stems down from ownership. I do. I think ownership being so cheap has allowed these issues here to come to life in the locker room.
Yeah. Mike, I'm not gonna give you the exact reaction that you want me to give you right now and say the sky is falling for the Cincinnati Bengals and they're terrible and need to blow it all up. And I still think that a head coach change probably would be the best thing to do for them, and maybe get a little bit more aggressive in the offseason to get some help defensively. But I mean, we're talking about a team right now that scored 297 points this year and has allowed 296. Like, things just aren't going your way right now. And it doesn't get talked about enough sometimes for these teams.
Things aren't going your way, or you're just really, really bad on one side of the ball and really, really good on the other.
Yes, 100. My point is, you're not as far away from where you were as you think. I think if this team goes into the offseason here, gets stronger defensively, keeps together this group on offense, they could be right back to being legitimate contenders. They are not heading down. There's no reason to be sitting here and thinking they're going to waste Joe Burrow's prime and, what are they going to do? Chase might leave or Higgins might leave, and that's still totally possible. And the future of this team looks so dark and blah, blah, blah. Like, take it easy.
But if they don't
they're
change,
still there.
But if they don't change the way they've run this organization for years now, then they are going to waste it. And I'm not, we can't predict that. We don't know what's going to happen.
Well,
you assume they're going to make the changes.
Can you evaluate?
The owner is very cheap. We know the owner is incredibly cheap.
This team, right now, the success that they've had over the past couple of years makes us forget a little bit, but they are Cleveland Browns, New York Jets, Detroit Lions level of poverty throughout their history, definitely.
They're also very loyal. I mean, they didn't fire Marvin Lewis until 12 years after he never won a playoff game.
Yeah.
So they're a very loyal organization that doesn't make many changes. And, I would agree with you. It may not all be on Zach Taylor, but Zach Taylor may not be the guy, and Zach Taylor could go get a job elsewhere and succeed. It wouldn't shock me. But in this current situation that they have, they might need an adult in the room a culture builder, kind of like a Jim Harbaugh.
You can't say that.
What?
You got to stop with the adult in the room.
I mean like a culture builder.
That is crazy.
A culture builder.
Okay.
Like a Brian Flores, a hard ass.
Okay.
A Mike Vrabel, a Bill Belichick.
Right.
Also, can we protect the damn quarterback, please? Yeah. The guy's getting crushed like no other. He's going to be paralyzed in 15 years.
That is one of, if not the best games of Joe Burrow's career that I've watched. He was playing out of his mind.
And he was getting crushed.
Even the Hail Mary at the end was a perfect throw.
Yeah.
They sent like 5 guys after him and he had to throw it 55 yards, he just lets it go, floats it up to the air, and it lands at the 1-yard line for T. Higgins, but he got jacked up by Derwin James. Yeah, I mean, when we think about Joe Burrow is obviously a phenomenal quarterback, and when we think about these quarterbacks in the history of the NFL and the ones who have had the great success, you think about the quarterback first, but you think about the pairing with the head coach. You know, you think about Belichick and Brady. Right now, you think about, he hasn't won a Super Bowl yet, but Lamar Jackson and John Harbaugh have been a great relationship. Sure. Like, you got to pair the head coach with the quarterback, and I don't know if we're going to be able to sit here and say, oh, yeah, Zach Taylor and Joe Burrow. You know, I don't.
Doesn't fit. Doesn't feel like it.
They're not Breeze and Peyton. Breeze and Sean Payton. They're not
Herbert and
Manning
Harbaugh.
and Dungy. They're, you know.
Herbert and Harbaugh sounds like something that's going to cause problems for 10, 15 years.
Yes. I don't think Zach Taylor and Jesus Christ.
A Mack truck
passing
drove by basically into the store here.
Shook the whole building.
How loud that was.
But
you make a great point.
And and hey, they're riding high right now, but I also don't think we're going to be able to say that about McDermott and Allen, but we could have that conversation another time. Come on. You hate McDermott. Now all of a sudden they're winning. Winning's the best medicine.
No, I agree.
We're not going to talk about it.
But there are and maybe this is the case for Burrow too, there are the quarterback that just, maybe he's not going to win as much, but there are the quarterbacks that are historically great and maybe have won a Super Bowl or two without that amazing head coach. And the guy I'm thinking of is Peyton.
Right.
I mean, Dungy was a good coach,
yeah,
but it's not on the levels in which we're talking about here.
Mm-hmm. Respect.
There are the off chances. Yeah. And Allen would fall into that category for me. I think Burrow is close to that as well.
Yeah. Like Darnold and Gase.
Wow.
You know.
Nagy and Carson Beck. That's what it'll be this coming off season.
That's disgusting.
Dion and Shador.
Stop. Raiders? That's got to be, right?
What a mess.
Yeah.
What a mess.
Yeah. That's the most obvious. Vegas, the showtime coming to Vegas, sell the tickets.
What's let me ask you this. What's T. Higgins is leaving, obviously. He's not going back there. What's the best spot for him?
Cincinnati.
Well, okay, other than Cincinnati.
I really do think that they need to sit down, close the doors, no Joe Burrow, no players in there, front office, right? Close the blinds, everything, and look at themselves and say, who would we rather have, T. Higgins or Jamar Chase?
That's crazy.
Because and Jamar Chase is phenomenal. He is, whatever team that guy ends up on will be thrilled to have him, and he'll make that quarterback better. But the money you're going to have to dish out for this guy, and we're talking about it right now with how cheap this owner is. The money you're going to have to dish out, I might want to take T. Higgins for maybe $10 million less, who is really, really talented.
It's a move that this organization would make. It would be the wrong move. It would be maybe the historically bad move, letting a Hall of Fame wide receiver walk out the door for $10 million less a year than you're going to pay the other guy that doesn't stay on the field, by the way. It would be a typical Cincinnati Bengals
honestly,
move.
It's really tough. I think, obviously, if all things were equal, money and everything, you're going to pick Jamar Chase over T. Higgins. It's just one of those scenarios where he's so good, Higgins, and you want to make it work, but I just don't know if you could do it. And I think that him and this tandem of the three of them, I mean, it's a shame that they're not going to do anything this year because they are really, really dangerous together.
Yeah,
T. Higgins is up there. There's not 10 other guys in the NFL that have the ability to score touchdowns like T. Higgins does. His threat in the red zone is very elite.
Is he a one on
any
other team?
He's a one.
He's going to get paid a lot of money.
He's a number one receiver.
He's going to get paid a lot of money. I can't wait to see where he goes.
You put T. Higgins in Kansas City with Mahomes?
I'm thinking we give Drake May a weapon.
He's a top 10 receiver in the NFL.
Give Drake May a weapon.
Hell yeah.
Send him to New England.
I mean, Ayuk was the big rumor last offseason. Didn't work. Go get T. Higgins.
He could play, by the way. Yeah. I hate to say it. I'm rooting against him with you.
I'm not rooting against Drake May.
I'm rooting against Drake May.
Why would I root it? Like, what is the point of rooting against anybody? I was so happy the Bills won. as a Jet fan. I mean, like, what have the Bills done to me recently? We do everything to ourselves. Why should I care?
Okay, that's fair. Listen, I'm happy you can look at it that way.
Yeah. Sure,
I'm
represent the AFC East. I don't know. I'm delusional at this point. I'm senile.
I'm an asshole. I want every team to lose.
Yeah.
I want the Eagles to burn. I shouldn't say that.
That's not nice.
Crash and burn at some point and break their fans' hearts.
They probably will.
Most likely.
I think it's coming up.
JM, a couple of coaches have been fired already. There's going to be more coaching firings as we get to the end of this season.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we teased it before. I mean, the fact that Peterson still has a job is remarkable.
Yeah. I mean, why do we even go through this process in the offseason of being like, oh, yeah, let's give this coach one more shot? You just brought up Peterson, and I was about to say, speaking of head coaches that need to be fired, how about Eberflus, too? Like, sometimes I'm like, let's not overreact and just fire guys. Let's give them a little bit of time. And then other times I'm like, why are we going into the football season with a coach that was on the hot seat, say, let's give him another shot, and it obviously goes the wrong way? Like, why, as the Chicago Bears, would you even put yourself through that? We're going to say it till we're blue in the face. It was the right move to make in the offseason. You have a rookie quarterback. You have this new era coming in. You get the new head coach. But instead, we decide, let's keep Matt Eberflus. You know, he's the guy here, respected in the locker. Look at the way the defense played in the second half last year.
They gave him a new haircut.
Yeah, he got a haircut, grew the beard out. Like, yeah, great.
He looks good. He looks good with the new
Yeah,
haircut.
if Doug Peterson and Matt Eberflus get into a little, let's get who could last the longest competition. It seems like it's like Impractical Joker's punishment or something right now. It's like, okay, now you're going to go coach an NFL team, and the first one to lose is tonight's biggest loser. The first one to get fired is tonight's biggest loser.
How many head coaching openings are they going to be?
New York Jets is already open.
Saints is already open.
We'll go by division. Yeah.
All right. So
Jets is open.
Nobody in the
Browns is not open. They should keep
No,
him.
Stefanski should be the coach.
Yep. Jaguars is open. Titans, I think, should be open. I think this guy
No.
Callahan is in over his head.
No.
I think Callahan should be one and done.
No. Trust. They'll be fine.
Trust? Okay.
Callahan will be fine.
Raiders, you better hope
They better fire him.
that
I
he's
actually
gone,
don't think they're going to.
which is nuts.
I think Dion trusts Pierce to coach his son. Therefore,
Wow.
I think
You don't think Dion wants to coach his son?
unless Dion got offered the job, but he hasn't been offered the job.
Yeah. So that's 3 now.
That's 3 in the AFC that we think. Okay.
NFC. Giants is open. Probably.
I think they're keeping him.
Okay.
I think they're keeping him.
Dallas is open.
Dallas is open. 4.
You really think they're going to keep Dable?
I think they're going to keep him. They're going to get one more year. They're going to get a chance to draft their own quarterback.
They wanted to last year.
Whether it's crazy or not, whether you think that's crazy, that's fine.
Right.
I don't think there's a yes or no answer to that.
Right.
I flip-flop every day. I would keep them right now, and I believe they'll be kept.
Well, it's funny. Right now, everybody's concerned, if your football team isn't good, you're concerned about let my team get the highest pick they can. But it's going to be really exciting to talk about the draft this offseason because it's not a typical draft like last year's where you're going to see quarterback, top 3.
Yeah.
Maybe if the first 3 teams really obviously need a quarterback, they'll do it. But I can't imagine a Travis Hunter falling to the 4th overall pick.
No, Hunter's going to go in the top 3. There's a couple of corners that are just
Will Johnson's going to be right up there. You have, why the hell am I forgetting his name right now? The Penn State edge rusher.
Yes, 11.
Carter, Aziz Carter. Is that it?
I forgot the name too, but yeah. That's 4 we have.
NFC North. Bears.
Eberflus 5. Yeah.
That's 5. The South.
6.
Saints. Yep.
Everybody
Buccaneers,
else is
no.
good.
Falcons, no. Panthers, no. And then the West. That's it.
What was the pause?
Well, I was just looking through the teams real quick.
Oh, okay. It wasn't Shanahan, right?
No, God, no.
I saw this a-hole on Twitter yesterday. I think he's like from San Francisco. He does San Francisco content. He was like, Shanahan should be fired. Like, enough of this. This is his fault.
Mm-hmm. That's
crazy.
Nuts. That's actually nuts. Can we, that's just, okay, let me make a video to get some clicks real quick.
Shanahan would be picked up in literally, like, less than 24 hours.
There would be teams that fire their head coach to get him.
Yeah. That is so funny. All right, that is. Good.
And let me tell you right now, we're talking a lot. We're still in the heart of the season. There's a lot of fun things to look forward to. This offseason is going to be very entertaining, courtesy of a lot of teams, but the Dallas Cowboys are going to be really fun to watch this offseason.
Okay.
That is going to be.
You're excited to watch Dallas?
Yeah. An open head coaching job for the Cowboys, along with contract drama and obviously a salty owner after giving out money last offseason.
That's an attractive job.
It isn't. Is it an attractive job?
Yes, because you have your quarterback.
But you're becoming the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
Yes.
It's a very stressful. You're basically the president of the United States.
It's a very stressful job.
Yeah.
It's good comparison.
Yeah.
There's really no winning.
Nope.
You're going to be criticized a lot, and you're not really going to be hyped up that much. But the fact that you're going into a spot where you have a top 12 quarterback in place for the next few years, I think that's a big thing. You have a top wide receiver. A coach can go in there and say, I could do something with this. Yeah. Probably still have Parsons. You're going to have a high draft pick. It's the second most attractive job. I think behind Chicago, it's the second most attractive job.
What?
I think Chicago's.
You think Chicago's the most attractive job
because you have the chance to coach a generational talent coming out of college, a guy that people have pegged as the one of the top quarterbacks in the league already coming into this season. There's hype around the guy for a reason, and an offensive coach getting his hands on him, I still believe he's going to be very special.
Honestly, this is kind of like a what job is not as bad as the other one competition, because I don't think any of these jobs are going to be super exciting.
Well, there's two that are just.
Yeah, I mean,
why accept
Raiders and the Jets
and the Saints?
Those
are. I wasn't throwing the Raiders in there.
And the Jaguars. I mean, at least maybe you say you got Lawrence. You got some hope there.
I think a coach, an offensive coach, will say to themselves,
"Sure,
hey, I could do something with Lawrence."
Sure.
And the Raiders are more attractive because, the owner sucks. But the Raiders are more attractive because you're going to go into a spot most likely where you're choosing your own quarterback.
That is
true.
Draft. That is true.
So that's more attractive than the Jets and the Saints.
Let me tell you, there are a lot of bad football teams in the NFL right now.
Yeah.
I don't recall a season, and listen, there's nobody that's 0-10 or 0-11, and everybody has at least 2 wins, but there are a lot of 2-win teams in the NFL right now, and I don't remember that being a thing in the past couple of years. You have Jacksonville, Tennessee, the Raiders, the Browns, the Giants. That is 5 teams that have 2 wins right now. That is bad in week 11.
A lot of bad football.
And obviously, Patriots, Jets, they got 3 wins. Carolina's got 3 wins. Dallas has 3 wins pending Monday Night Football. Kind of ugliness in the NFL right now.
Just read a baseball report. The Dodgers are meeting with Monsanto.
What the hell?
Anyway.
That'll make me crash out beyond belief.
Bad football.
Bad football.
Including a lot of bad football in our town. And more specifically, last week, we were able to talk about those New York Jets. Now we'll talk about the Giants for a quick sec. Mm-hmm. That they have finally benched Daniel Jones, number 8, our guy. I'll say this. We're going to look back. I've seen these takes a lot over the past couple of weeks now when it had been, for the most part, almost guaranteed that they were going to bench him.
Yeah.
It's like we're going to look back on this and say, wow, he played for 6 years and made that much money. That's going to be the take. Mm-hmm. And you're going to go back to it and you're going to say, kind of understand the first few years, right? Like, he's still the draft pick. There was a lot of coaching turnover. It was bad rosters. And they were supposed to be done with him after 22. That was it. The 4 years, he would have been done. And that would have been normal. But he forced their hand into giving him a contract, wins a playoff game. And now we're here.
Yeah.
And hell with this guy.
The Daniel Jones, the entire saga has been fascinating. Like, I actually think somebody needs to do like a documentary about it. And I'm not trying to be funny right now. Like, I'm actually serious. The amount of like unfortunate timing that was in this entire thing, because we could sit here and rip on the Giants for this whole thing. And I obviously, the one thing that was avoidable was drafting the kid, and it stems back to the Saquon Barkley pick and waiting another year to draft a quarterback and all that stuff. But the timing of everything. I mean, it reminds me like the best analogy I could think of is you're in that 4 or 5 year, in this case, it's a 6 year, but that long-term relationship with your girlfriend, and you're like, all right, I'm going to do it. I'm not happy right now. I'm finally going to break up with her. I'm like, right when you're about to break up with her, she buys you a new cologne and a brand new suit or whatever the hell you like. And you're like, oh, like that was really nice of her. Like,
and in certain situations,
maybe,
it was like her grandma died. And
right.
and now I can't break up with her. It was like, because early on it was like the grandma died. Parents would be like, well, the offensive line is so bad.
Right.
Like, how could I do it to her now? Like that. Yeah, it's a great point. It's a really good point.
Totally. And then you're like, oh, well, her birthday's coming up, and that's Daniel Jones making the playoffs. It's like, well, I can't do it now because her birthday's about to come up, and that'd be really messed up on me. But seriously, that's how it's felt with this. What was
winning the playoff game like? Doing something crazy in bed that he never had? Because that's what it was. I mean, it was like that.
100%. It's all been really, really bad. And then what happened is, after, we're going to hang on to this analogy a little bit more.
Oh, God.
Just when you were unhappy and you thought things were going good, you decided, you know what? I'm ready. We're gonna move in together. I'm going to buy a place. We're going to rent the place out together. We're going to move in together.
False sense of hope.
That is when the Giants decided to extend Daniel Jones. And exactly, it was a false sense of hope, and it was like, oh, no, this whole time I've been running away from the root of it. I don't actually see a future with this girl/quarterback, and here we are. And that is where the Giants are, and it's honestly, like, it's sad.
Yeah, that your friend has had to sit here and watch this guy play football for 6
yeah,
years.
And your friends keep telling you, dude, this ain't the one. Like, I know, but look, we're just saying, like, I don't see it with you guys. And you're like, no, you don't get it. Let it ride out.
It's done. Yeah. It's over.
Well, now it's
and
done.
now we got Tommy DeVito.
Yeah.
You know
what? Now the Giants are getting back with their ex.
Right. Exactly. No, the guy that you cheated on ate with.
Right.
But she accepted. It's a really weird relationship. It's
a love triangle with the Giants.
It's a crazy relationship. Yeah. And the best friend is Tyrod Taylor, and Tyrod played well last year. Either way.
Yeah.
All right. Enough. But one thing I got to say. I was never a proponent of signing Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
You know that for a fact.
Yeah.
I never wanted him in the first place. We've gone through it so many times. Mm-hmm. But I will say this. You spent $5 million on a backup. You spent $5 million on a kicker that doesn't kick because he's always hurt. Mm-hmm. The allocation of funds.
Bad.
From Shane. He's done some okay things. More bad than good here. Mm-hmm. Shane, to me, is on my shit list. Excuse my language. More so than Dable. Like, my problem is Shane, not Dable. And I'll go as far as this. They have a guy in the organization that is going to be hired to be a general manager in a year or two in Brandon Brown. And they got him from Philadelphia. He's interviewed the last 2 years now for a GM job. He is going to be a general manager.
Yeah.
I would fire Shane and elevate that guy. That's what I would do. And I would keep Brian.
I
would give him the opportunity to fire Brian.
But I said this last week, and I know I'm not contradicting myself from before when I said, wow, you really think they're going to keep Daboll? Because I just think they're going to fire him. Yeah. But what I would do is I would do that. I would actually get rid of the GM and I would keep the coach. I don't know, like that's a different thing what you're saying right now, and I don't know how the fans would receive that if you say, okay, well, you fired the GM and we're just elevating somebody from within the organization. Like, you're not getting a new person, but who cares what the fans think? You got to do what's best for your organization.
And I think that would be the best thing.
Look at what's on my computer right now.
Is that Daniel Jones
in
a Jets
jersey? In a Jets jersey.
That looks good next year.
Actually ridiculous.
That looks really good next year.
No, it's not. But no, I would definitely do that because I think that Daboll is I like I said last week, I think that Daboll is the only guy accessible to them right now that could develop a young quarterback. I do think if he gets his own guy, I think he could make him a great quarterback.
We're gonna see what happens. It's gonna be a long off season.
It will.
I think
it will,
because it's already November and that's all that's on my mind.
Yeah.
You have a hate club this week?
I do have a hate club. It's very short. It's very particular, and it's a bit get off my lawn-ish.
Okay.
My hate club is I'm watching the game of the Los Angeles Rams and the New England Patriots. Mm-hmm. And Cooper Kupp scores a touchdown.
Sure.
Actually, no, I'm sorry. This was the Kobe Parkinson touchdown, the beautiful throw by Matt Stafford.
Great throw.
And he catches the touchdown. You know, there's that little area in the back where those poor photographers are always getting trampled and people get run over or whatever. And I look and I'm like, is that a group of 10 men dressed as revolutionary, like war soldiers, as patriots?
You've never seen this?
New England Patriots. I've seen it before. That is my hate club. Just certain teams doing this corny ass stuff. Why are we having grown men dress up and hold muskets while we are a 2-8 ball club or 3-8 ball club? My apologies. Why are we doing things like this? Is there maybe a thought of, hey, let's give these guys the day off? You know, these guys, they don't need to stand out there with our muskets, considering that some of the fans might want to take those and use them to their own benefit for how bad this football team is. That is my hate club.
I couldn't disagree more. I respect them.
You like the...
I love it.
I'm just talking the Patriots for an example. A lot of mascots out there. Bad. Couple good ones. Colts got a nice one. The guy that always is like air humping things.
Yeah, that guy's crazy.
He's a little weird.
A little weird.
But it's funny.
All right. I couldn't disagree more.
That's my hate club. I'm not too fired up about it.
I'm fired up about somebody.
Go ahead.
Callahan. I think his name's Bill.
Yeah.
Enough with Will Levis. Done. I will never bet on this team again. I'm out. I'm done. Mason Rudolph. Like, how do you watch Mason Rudolph and then say, we're going to play Will Levis? Mason Rudolph is so much better than Will Levis. My hate club is short and simple. Will Levis isn't even on a backup level.
Wow.
Okay? He's not even a backup in this league. Get him out. Get him off the team and get him out of the league. Go back with Giudice, okay? Enough.
No, stop.
Enough.
Stop it. Knock it off.
I can't stand him.
Stop.
He's so bad. And I felt bad for him draft night. I really did. They did him dirty on camera, too.
This is...
No, he's terrible. He sucks.
This has an ulterior motive behind it.
But he stinks. I mean,
you had money on the game.
But he stinks. Enough of it.
Did you not see the 98-yard touchdown?
Yeah, that was
Great
all.
throw.
That was all Westbrook-Akini.
That was a dot. Don't even act like that wasn't a great throw.
He stinks.
Okay.
He's so bad.
Okay. He's not great. I'm not going to sit here and say Will Levis is a franchise quarterback.
Defend Will Levis.
I can't. I'm not going to. But this is, I lost my bet. The Titans sold me, so I'm going to yell at Will Levis.
You know what's really funny, too? When they had the ball at the 2 when they scored the 98-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
And I literally look at our friend. I go, he had money on the Titans, too. And I said, there is no way in hell this ends in a good situation for the Titans. This is either a safety, a touchdown, a turnover right at the 5 or something like that.
Did it not end up being a good thing?
No, it was 98-yard touchdown.
Yeah,
it was great. Good for Will, but enough of Will. Done.
Well, that was passionate, Michael. And obviously there's some other things behind that and crazy name drop of Giudice, who we love on the show.
Yeah. Do we?
Yeah. I do. I mean, I don't know about you.
Wow.
Shout out Gio.
All right, that's where we're gonna end it. Giudice here getting a mention. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you guys later. We got to be better with the gambling show because, by the way, I'm making a huge comeback. We're following it.
He's not.
We're making our picks. We have our picks. So the next time we do a gambling show, we will have the updated standings because it is close. So we'll be back soon and we'll talk to you guys later.